Welcome to the City of Eureka Springs BOZA and Planning Commission meetings. Today is Tuesday, June 11th, 2024 at 6 o'clock. We're in the auditorium. Let's see, we've got public hearing. So we've got a zoning variance at 10 Magnetic. Owner's name is Dodge. Kyle, do you have anything that's listed for that over there on that list?
I have not received any correspondence, and I don't think anybody is on the list for public comments for
that particular
10
one?
Magnetic.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
No?
Are we voting during the public hearing?
Let's see. No, we're going to go into Board of Zoning.
Okay.
Is it on your agenda there?
Yeah,
For the variance?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. If we don't have anybody else that wants to make any comments, then you want to move to the next public hearing? Okay, we're going to do public hearing for the second item on our list, which is conditional use permit, which is 3022 East Van Buren. This is for owner, last name Grubb, who is the applicant. Do you have anything on that, Kyle?
Yes, I have 16 emails that have been asked to be read into public record. I've also got people signed up for public comments.
Okay, do you want us to help you read those? Or do you want to go through all of them yourself?
Yeah, let me see how my voice holds out. Maybe
Okay.
I might pass it off to you.
All right, go ahead.
As a taxpaying resident of Eureka Springs, I am in support of the issuance of a commercial gun sale permit for Eureka Gun and Pawn. Thank you, Austin. Kennedy 186, County Road 2123. From Terry Wolfenberger and Jennifer Rose, 75 Wall Street, we'd like to add our voices against the operation of a gun and pawn shop within city limits. There are numerous studies showing direct correlation between gun and pawn shops to increase crime and violence. Also, Arkansas state regulations regarding firearms are extremely weak in light of the cases of gun violence within the state. Allowing such a business to operate within city limits would not be conducive to a safe environment for our community or our visitors. Should someone feel the need for a pawn shop or to purchase a firearm, there are several options within driving distance already. Kyle and Planning Commission, no to the CEP for gun and pawn in Eureka Springs. There's already too much brazen behavior in our town by those who are supposedly on vacation, plus too many permit and ordinance violations for city officials to handle, let alone the police tracking what will likely be an increase in stolen goods to a pawn shop. Thank you, Ramona Capps, 114 Shelton Drive. Good morning. I would just want to voice my opposition to giving a permit to the gun shop, which is once again applying for a permit. It was made very clear at the first meeting, and especially with resident opposition, that this is not something we need to have within the city limits of Eureka Springs. There's enough access to guns locally. Please vote no. Thank you for your consideration in this manner. Julie Shelton, 2 Bat Street. Regarding 2 homeowners in Eureka Springs against the granting of a permit to a gun shop to sell within the city limits of Eureka Springs, June 11th, 2024. Dear Mr. Palmer, my husband Doyle Buddy Spell and I own and have lived at our 215 Spring Street home in Eureka Springs for 5 years. We believe the ruling of the Planning Commission and others, as well as the affirmation of the court that those rulings denying a permit to sell guns within city limits of Eureka Springs is correct. We do not believe there are any new facts or new information that would change our opinion regarding same. We believe that the consensus of the community since the last request for permission to sell guns within our city limits has not changed. We believe that the consensus of the community is still not to allow a gun shop to sell guns within Eureka Springs. We join our community neighbors in objecting to the granting of any permit to sell guns within Eureka Springs. We believe that consensus of the residents who live in Eureka Springs is that any permit to sell guns within Eureka Springs should be denied. We ask that you share your comments tonight with the people who make this decision, as we are not in town and unable to do so in person. Thank you for your service to our community. Warmly, Annie Spell, 215 Spring Street. Please read into the record regarding gun shop. It is the right of those folks to come back after a year and reapply, just as it is our right to say no. I say no. On crypto mining and annexation, I believe the commission is functioning without a master plan. This should be the priority since it would answer questions and give guidance relating to all these topics, including variances. Thank you, Pat Matsoukas, 5 Mountain. Mr. Palmer, as a former chief of police in Eureka Springs, I know there are many opinions about the selling of firearms in town. The selling of firearms firearms from a legally operating business does not increase violence. I know that Mr. Grubb is a responsible man and will follow all federal and state laws and regulations. Please approve his application and put an end to this issue. Thank you, Earl Hyatt, 11 Walnut. Hi, just wanting to express my opinion on the gun and pawn shop in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. I vote no. Thanks. Kathy Barnes, 100 Victoria Woods Boulevard. To everyone it may concern, regarding the opening of Eureka Gun and Pawn, to permit this business to pawn items and sell guns is not in the best interest of Eureka Springs. What part of we don't want a gun and pawn shop near residential areas does this guy not understand? First of all, everyone who opens a business here must follow the rules, and from the start he has not done so. He put up his signs, began to open without proper approval or a CUP from the city, which has never been okay for anyone else who has opened a business here. He should have not been allowed to proceed with any of the business operating until this was rectified. He broke one of the first steps of rules and regulations before he even started. Therefore, the judgment of his character says he is not likely to follow any other important rules to run such a business. It was a question in previous meetings that he was already pawning and selling guns on the premises in the beginning and doing whatever he wants to ignore the city regulations and not operating under the rules from the start. So why should anyone trust or believe that he would run a legitimate business? The question of character and honesty and following the rules should be a significant topic here. He also got a second location just outside the city limits to be able to sell guns or whatever business exchange he could get away with there. Another shady characteristic move. He should have had to remove his signage before giving a permit to do anything at the location of his place of business and be fined daily. Second, there are already police cars showing up there at his place of business on a constant basis, which terrifies the neighborhood. If he isn't selling guns or pawning stolen goods, why all the police activity? I used to get my hair done at the beauty shop, but I no longer feel safe or comfortable due to the sales of guns and questionable activity there. Why can't he just sell guns at gun shows where it is permitted? Why interfere with the peaceful zen of local residents' homes when he can do this somewhere else? Many people choose to live here due to the low crime, zenful, and peaceful nature of the town. No one shows up here hoping to buy guns, and if they did, there are already so many gun shops within a 10-minute drive from Eureka. Even Walmart, the world's biggest retailer, stopped selling rifles in the Berryville store to make a positive statement, and they are well respected for this move. It seems this guy is working very hard and spending lots of time and money on something that no one wants or cares to keep wasting their time on. Stop wasting everyone's time on this, please. Myself, my neighbors, surrounding businesses, and many others who may or may not speak up do not want this place here. I hope it becomes the Eureka Come and Gone shop because this is ridiculous. Anita Kimbrell, 110 Shelton. I'm unable to attend the meeting this evening due to work. As a resident of Eureka Springs, I wish to show my support for our Second Amendment rights and CUP being approved. Fionn Richards, no address was given. I do not support the Eureka Gum shop for Eureka. That one's anonymous. To whom it may concern, I'm aware that people who live in Eureka Springs still do not think a gun shop on Highway 62 is a good thing for our town. There are people, citizens in our town, who thought that the decision to deny it and affirmed by the judge was a relief, and now are shocked or saddened to learn that the original decision may be reversed, even though nothing has changed from the original application. Please do not approve the sale of guns at that gun and pawn shop on Highway 62. Sincerely, Eileen Powell, no address given. Hello, my name is Mike Armstrong. I was the owner and operator of Invictus Arms in Eureka Springs, Arkansas in 2015. I'd like to start by saying that I had no complications getting my business license to buy, sell, trade, and repair guns, ammo, self-defense items, and a lot of other items. There wasn't any holdup, no troubles in any way. I was approved in just a few minutes for a business license for the city. I also had to be approved and vetted by the local and state police and also the FBI and ATF. All sales were by the book and 100% legal. No harm or ill will came from my business. Quite the contrary, actually. I used my business to help promote a chili cook-off and silent auction, then a toy drive to help provide Christmas gifts and cold weather gear to less fortunate children in Carroll County. I know Mr. Grobe will likely do things for this community too. It is his right to be able to have a business and prosper doing so. It has been done in that town several times with no restrictions or problems. Eureka reenacts a bank robbery every year to celebrate a day where locals use their right to protect themselves and their businesses. So please approve the permit and let this man have his business. Eurekans are known for their all-inclusive and welcoming with no judgment attitudes. So it's time to be welcoming and be a true Eurekan. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. Mike Armstrong. No address. Hi, Kyle Palmer. I'm writing I'm writing this in response to a second try by Mr. Grubb for a gun shop in Eureka Springs. Please deliver my message against the shop. He already has one out of town on 23 South. There is already enough gun shops in the area. Why have one here in town that doesn't want one? Please confirm that I'm totally against this gun shop. We don't need more guns for sale, even antique guns. Too many people and children are being shot and killed. You never know when that happens, but it does every day. Sincerely, Penelope Walker, Ward 2. Hello, Mr. Palmer. I'm writing this letter to inform you that I support the business Eureka Gun and Pawn to operate as a firearm dealer in Eureka Springs. I hope the City Council properly recognizes not only the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution that I, as a veteran, have sworn to protect and defend, but that you also recognize Article 2, Section 5 of the Arkansas Constitution, which states that citizens of the state shall have the right to keep and bear arms for their common defense. Please support this business's right to lawfully sell weapons and, by extension, the right of all U.S. citizens to keep and bear arms. They are able to exercise their God-given right to self-defense and defense of others. Respectfully, Edward Morales, 2966 County Road 207. Please forward to the Planning Commission board members to review before any vote tonight, 6/11/24. Attention Planning Commission, regarding conditional use permit for 3022 East Van Buren, Grubb applicant. Applicant is requesting a CUP for commercial gun sales in C2C commercial zone. Greetings, my family has been in Carroll County in the Eureka Springs since 1857. My great-grandfather, Thomas J. Walden, was sheriff of Carroll County, worked as an educator and as a judge in Carroll County and in the Eureka Springs area. My great-grandmother, a little over 5'4", tall, stopped a jailbreak with a frying pan. They were both dedicated citizens to this county and city, and my ancestors have been productive members of this community, helping it grow and prosper ever since. My great-uncle, a board member of one of the original banks of Eureka Springs, my grandmother and mother were both born in Eureka Springs on Spring Street, so I do have deep family roots in Eureka Springs, and we still have a business on the outskirts between Eureka and Holiday Island, so my family has earned its right as local citizens and community members to express our input in this matter. I've known Keelan Grubb for over 8 years now. I have done business with him as a customer as well as a vendor, and he has always been fair, honest, pays his bills before they are due, and delivered legal goods as promised, and always adhered to the law and regulations regarding his business and pays his taxes. Keeling is attempting to have a legal business in the city of Eureka Springs in the state of Arkansas in the United States of America as per his legal constitutional rights. He maintains and adheres to strict federal laws and guidelines that prevent firearms from getting into the hands of those who cannot legally obtain or possess them, and takes more than the prescribed precautions to prevent any issues. Keeling Grubb and his family's business will provide a good tax-based income for the city while maintaining a good, solid, ethical business in the community and support for the community. I ask that his business application be reviewed as any other legally permissible business in this town and approved as such. May this town continue to have growth and prosperity. Larry Lyles, 2893 Highway 23 North.
Does anybody have any questions about any of those? No? Okay. All right, let's go, let's move into roll call, please.
Ansel Lee.
Here.
Mike Welch.
Here.
Susan Hallman.
Here.
Fergie Stewart.
Here.
I'm present. Tom Buford.
All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to move into the Board of Zoning Adjustment meeting. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, we've got an approval and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, agenda is approved. Public comments. Any on this, Kyle?
Yes.
Is there anybody out there that wanted to do public comments on our zoning variance for 10 Magnetic?
Oh, sorry. 10 Magnetic.
Yep,
No, I
Nope.
don't believe anybody signed up for 10 Magnetic.
okay. Let's go into new business, which is the zoning variance at 10 Magnetic. Owner's name is Dodge. Applicant is requesting a zoning variance to the 35-foot height restriction in an R2 residential zone. I'm going to go ahead and ask Mr. Dodge just to come up and explain what he's doing there. I believe this is a property that was purchased how many years ago? Or, hold on, state your name and your address, sorry.
Michael Dodge, 10 Magnetic.
And how many years ago did you purchase this?
2 years ago in July, I believe
Okay.
I was in front of you all to
Okay.
get another variance approved
Yeah.
before we purchased the property.
Okay, so you're building a home,
Yes,
and according to city ordinance, there is a height restriction. It's going to be a two-story home, correct?
correct.
Yes. So from, if I remember this correctly, from street level to the top of your house, it has to comply within so many feet.
That's correct.
And yours will go over that
That's right.
because of the grade of the
Yes,
the lot.
right.
Okay.
Yep.
When are you expected to be, I guess, have the project actually completed?
The builder told me he can be ready at the end of the summer, so I would expect maybe 6 months after that, so perhaps next spring sometime. is
So
when we
twice
do
that
this.
because it's Eureka Springs?
Probably so, yeah, I do have a sewer line and a water line
Yeah.
to get up Magnetic.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Dodge? No?
I make a,
Well, I got one question. And of course, I ask this to almost every applicant. Why did you choose to build in Eureka Springs?
Okay. My wife and I, we occasionally visit here. We're mountain bikers. We love the trails. That particular lot is actually in between two sets of trails that we very much enjoy riding. Actually, we rode them Saturday, and so that's really why we chose Eureka Springs. Just the quaintness of the town and also the mixture of trails.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
I make a motion that we approve the variance at 10 Magnetic.
Second?
All right. We've got a motion by Ann and a second by Fergie to approve the zoning variance at 10 Magnetic. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, which one am I, you want me to sign the big one, right?
Congratulations, Mr. Dodge.
All right, regular meeting. Application approved. 400. Okay, that ends our Board of Zoning Adjustment meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting adjourned for Board of Zoning Adjustment. Let's move into the Planning Commission meeting. Approval of the agenda. I actually have one item that I'm going to take off, which is number 5, which is sidewalks. So we're going to remove that. Kyle, do you have anything you're adding
I
or removing?
I would ask to postpone the tree cut ordinance procedure discussion until next time also. But I do have information to add to the B&B code update conversation.
Actually, I was going to ask for that to be removed since we didn't have the draft from Forrest.
On
Yeah.
number 4?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can do that.
Do you
We
want to
don't
just
have that yet.
Do you want to just postpone it?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay, if we need to, we can do a special meeting because we're going to be bumping up against our,
Yeah, I'm good with that.
okay. Okay, so as of right now, I've taken 3, 4, and 5 off of the list. We'll postpone those to another meeting time. Does anybody have any other changes? Okay, so the amended agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the amended agenda.
I second
All
that.
right, so we've got a motion and a second to amend the agenda as stated. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so we've approved that agenda. Public comments. And this is for anything that anyone wants to give public comment on that is on our list of items and/or just an item that you want to do public comments on. You've got 3 minutes. So Kyle, do you want to kind of work down that list that you have first, and then we'll see if anybody else wants to do a public comment at the end.
Can I ask that we do public comments for the application first?
Okay, yeah.
for the
we can.
CUP.
Okay, so we're going to do we'll do public comments on 3022 East Van Buren. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, and then
Afterwards, if anyone has anything else, we'll do those?
if that's okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. So
okay.
do you have any there that are,
Yeah, so Leah Heron.
okay. So when you come up to the mic, just state your name and your address, if you're a resident or not a resident, okay?
Good evening. I'm Leah Heron. I'm Vice President of Gun Owners of Arkansas. I reside at 16914 Pinewoods Drive in Rogers, Arkansas. Again, I'm here speaking on behalf of Gun Owners of Arkansas. We're here in support of Keeling Grubb. We believe that he has a constitutional free market right to have a business of his choice for a legal activity in this town. We do not feel that hurt feelings or scared people should have any place in deciding what someone can do with basically a constitutional protected amendment, the Second Amendment. You know, he's not doing something illegal. He's not asking to go against anything. And I know Gun Owners of Arkansas has had to stand against Eureka Springs in the past, and we're prepared to do so again if need be. Any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Robert Tollett.
What is the name?
Robert Tollett.
Okay.
My name is Robert Tollett. I live at 565 County Road 305 here in Eureka, and I rise in support of Mr. Grubb's application for a cup for his gun pawn shop. I don't think we're reinventing the wheel. There has in the past, to my memory, been at least 3 gun stores open here in Eureka Springs. Invictus Arms and one at the bank, as I recall. And not to mention, it's just his legal right to have a legal business recognized by the state and by the Constitution. And so I rise in support of that, and I hope you'll consider giving that an affirmative vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's everybody who has said they're here for.
Did
The
anyone not
3022.
say they're here for anything?
I've got 4 that have signed up that are not here
Okay,
for
will you
the
just read
application.
off their names and see if they want to comment on this particular one?
Yeah, David Parkman.
Okay.
My name's David Parkman, live in Gabriel Circle. I'm a resident. So first of all, there was a couple of things that I'm really picky about facts. Walmart does still sell guns. Someone on the email said they don't. That's a lie. Next, the comment that the presence of firearms increases crime. If you look at I've studied crime extensively of all areas. Any poll you look at changes that. Somewhere between 2% and 7% is what is given, that it does raise it. However, at the same time, legal firearm ownership is also shown to lower crime somewhere between 3% and 10%. Those are a wash. There's been national studies shown to show that these things are pretty much a wash on that. Crime overall is down something like 65, 70% from like 1992, especially gun crime. So the argument of it's going to cause crime is false. It's completely false. I'm here to support someone who wants to own a business, who wants to operate a business, but she has the constitutional right to, not necessarily under the Second Amendment, because that's about firearms. Article 1, Section 8 does allow, and it's the Commerce Clause, cannot interfere with someone owning a business, which is exactly what the city is trying to do by not allowing him. It's interfering with him operating his business and owning it. If the business isn't successful, he'll go away. If it is, then he pays taxes to the city. I'm highly in favor of this. I know many other people are that could not be here as well. I do know that a lot of working people who could not be here because they do work have gone in there, and by guns, they feel the need for protection. And unusually, it's a lot of older women have gone in there. I say older, I'm 50 myself, but women older than me have gone in there. And denying this is pretty much saying it's using methods of, fear-mongering, bullying tactics, tyrannical bullying tactics by various people in the city in positions of power to say, hey, we don't want this because we don't like it. They're forcing a political agenda on something that is not political, it's business. And politics should not be involved in business. That's the reason that government was founded, was because we wanted to operate our businesses as we saw fit. It wasn't necessarily anything else. People wanted to operate their own business. And they had government interference. This is government interference in operation of a business. It's simple. If, he meets the qualifications, which are whatever they are. He's in the right zone. It's correct. He's not breaking any laws. Being a FFL license holder, to sell firearms is an incredibly strenuous process. You can't just walk up, I want a gun license to sell guns. I'm like, yeah, sure, here you go. It doesn't work like that. He's probably more regulated than any one of us are in our businesses or our pursuits and endeavors. Certainly far more regulated than any of the other business owners in town. They can do whatever, a lot of things that are questionable. Anything he does is questionable, he goes to prison. If he breaks the law, he goes to prison for a long time. Federal prison. So the arguments that, he's unregulated, this and that, those are nonsense. Most arguments and comments I've heard against it, not one of them, not one, is actual legitimate. It's all fear-mongering, and it's all, I don't like this, I'm scared, this makes me feel bad. And that's not any basis for providing someone with a business. I mean, sure, there's tons of other businesses in town that maybe make other people feel bad. They just don't comment on it. I think you should grant him this license. I know myself and lots of other people would be more than welcoming of it and more than happy to have him there. He's a good business owner. He's a good person. He's a good man. He does a lot for the community, helps stuff out in the schools already, has helped my archery team out quite a bit. And that's when I confirm that I would love to see this business happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carolyn Colmer.
You all are Eurekans.
Hey, sorry. Will you
Carolyn Colmer,
and your
100 Victoria Woods Boulevard. You all are Eurekans, all of you. This town, Eureka Springs. This town does not need a gun shop. Go to Berryville and buy your darn guns. But Eureka Springs, we don't need that here. My family goes back here 40 years. They never owned guns except a .22 to shoot the squirrels when it was eaten out of my mom's bird feeder. That's what my dad did with his .22. Now, I drive up and down 62 and I see some young people that don't look well. And I mean between the ears. And I don't want to see one of these young people with an AR-15 in their hands going in to Eureka Springs schools where I was a substitute teacher before they had to lock that place up like a prison when you could walk from building to building through any darn door. No, I'm very against, I'm sorry I have a tremor, I'm very against this gun shop in Eureka Springs, and I hope you'll vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thad Brown.
Hi, I'm Thad Brown. I live west of town out in the Bush area. Not a Eureka Springs resident, but a Western District resident. My family goes back here a lot of years too, and we've always had guns. What we haven't ever had is a problem with them. And we deserve to buy one right here in this town. I don't want to go to Berryville for one. I don't go to Berryville to buy groceries. I buy my groceries at Hart's Grocery. I want to buy my gun in Eureka Springs. I don't want to hurt anybody with it, but I will tell you this. I live 2.5 hours. That's how long it takes a cop to get to my house if something goes wrong, and if I need to protect my family, I have the right, the legal right to buy a gun and protect my family. I pray to God I never need that right, but I do have that right. And they have a right to legally own and operate a firearms business within the law in Eureka Springs. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last person on the list, I think, just left, Sharon Lawler. I'm assuming she's not on the list any longer. So,
Okay. All right, so that was it?
yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go into new business on Planning Commission. Conditional use permit is 3022 East Van Buren. Grubb is the applicant. Applicant is requesting a CUP for commercial gun sales in C2C commercial zone. So, Mr. Grubb, would you like to come up and, we've seen you before at this table.
Yes, ma'am.
So will you explain what is different about this application from the first? I know you've gone through some legal proceedings here within Eureka Springs, so and we've gone past the year date, so you were legally able to reapply
Yes,
at
ma'am.
this point. So, but what's different about this application from the first?
We're not asking for a pawn shop.
Will you make sure you speak real clear?
We're not asking for a pawn license in this. We're asking for just a license or a permission to transfer our federal firearms license to our other store, which is here in town, so we can sell firearms out of this store. We have a lot of high-end firearms, collectible firearms. The location that we're in currently is outside of the city limits, just barely. It's still regulated by the Sheriff's Department. They're a great team of people. The problem is if we have a call, if we needed them for some reason, it could be an hour and a half before they make it to our store. The store we have here in town is much safer location, not only for us, but the community. It has concrete walls, concrete floors, has steel walls. It's elevated in the air. People can't go behind it and get in it. It has bars on the windows. It has state-of-the-art alarm system. We have 5K camera system. We have a metal steel cage in the back that has safes inside of the cage. I'm not going to tell you that it would be impossible for a thief to get in there and steal something, because if anybody wants to do something, they can. I'm just telling you, that location versus our other one is way more secure. We're wanting to bring higher dollar firearms into our location and sell them. The tax base would increase greatly for Eureka, we feel. We're doing gun shows now because that's kind of what we're limited to. With my son and I, we have a helper that helps us from time to time, but it is extremely hard at this point to try to run two shops. So we have one shop now that is open 32 to 40 hours a week, another shop that we're trying to open 12 hours a week and catch gun shows when we can on the weekend. We just traveled to Conway this weekend for a gun show. But we're not asking for pawn. We're just going to continue to buy things and sell it just like the flea markets do here in town. So nothing's going to change as far as needing the pawn at this point. And we're no different than a flea market here in town at this point, with the exception we're asking to sell guns in our store legally with our FFL. We don't sell any there now. We don't pawn anything. They have to go to our other store to buy a gun. The only thing that's different than what we're doing for business now is we would have guns on the shelves in this store for sale and be able to do the transaction right there. At the current time, we can store firearms in this store. We can buy firearms in this store because it is licensed by the ATF already as a holding facility. But there is no law on buying firearms at this point. And the other thing is they have just passed a law that was through the Biden I'm trying to think of the complete name of it. Safer Community Act. It's in a big fight right now, and they're saying that if you're an individual and you sell a firearm, there's a stay till the 24th of this month, that you would have to take that gun to a FFL dealer, have them log it in their book, and do a background check before it leaves. And that's something that there's nobody in Eureka to do that if somebody wanted to sell a firearm at this point. So we're trying to help the community there if that stays and needs to be done. Like I say, we do 4473. I don't know if you all are familiar with that, but that's a background check. So nobody's going to be able just to walk in our store and buy a gun. And I know there's a misconception that they come in and hand you $200 and they leave. It doesn't work like that. So if we had a customer come in and they want to buy a firearm, we have a 2-page background check they fill out. At that point, we submit it into a computer database, which is the ATF and the FBI. They do a background check on them. They tell us if they're mentally unstable, they can't buy one. If they're a felon, they can't buy one. There's a lot of prerequisites. They have to be a certain age. They have to be an Arkansas resident to buy a handgun. Some residents from other states could come in and buy a rifle or shotgun in our store. However, we have to call and verify with the ATF office where they're at if they can buy that firearm and walk out, that there's no restrictions in the area that they live in to prohibit them from doing so. So our best deal is right now we sell on Gun Broker some, but then again we have to go down to another location, take the pictures, get everything, come back to the other location to load it up. We have a makeshift office. What we're running our gun store out of right now is a 10-foot by 16-foot cubicle in my wife's warehouse because that's what we had to do. So we're looking for something that's a lot more easy for us to work, a lot more aesthetic for our customers, and we're hoping to draw people to Eureka. We have a lot of people that come here just to buy guns from us or have us order them something. So we're trying to, I guess, not only a business, but offer a service to the community.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Grubb?
No. Yeah, the only thing I've got to say is that thank you for reapplying. Give us another chance at this.
We appreciate you saying that more than you know. I also want to add that there is nothing going to change to our building. I mean, we're not going to have stuff outside. I know that's been a concern to some people over this pond, but in the beginning, we were never going to pawn bicycles, boats, and junk. We're only going to do guns, gold, and silver. So all we're wanting to add to the sporting goods that we have now, fishing poles, the guns, would be guns, gold and silver, ammunition.
Anybody else have any questions? No? No? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got this conditional use permit in front of us. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit for Eureka Gun LLC at 3022 East Van Buren in Eureka Springs.
Can I get a second? I'll second it. All right, so we've got a motion, we've got a second to go ahead and approve the conditional use permit at 3022 East Van Buren for Grubb. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
All right, so we've got 3 yes and 2 no.
Have a motion to discuss?
Sure, you want to do a motion to discuss? I'll give you a second on that.
Okay. I've been to 2 trials involving this application, and I think we've kind of lost track of what we're doing. We talk about the Second Amendment rights, the right to bear arms, and the right to sell guns or whatever, possess guns, but really, years ago, the City Council of Eureka Springs passed an ordinance that allows guns in an area if it meets the CUP requirements. And in the 2 trials I went to, neither lawyer really discussed in detail the items A through T that are in our ordinance. They asked that the ordinance be introduced in the file with the court, and they kind of talked about it a little bit. But I would like to go down and read what ordinance the CEP requirements are. And because some people say, well, you know, why are you voting for guns and why? It's not really a gun question, it's a question of whether the application meets the city ordinance. And in going through the ordinance, number A is whether the proposed use would be contrary to a master plan. B, does the existing land use pattern allow it? Number C, the population of density pattern and possible increase of overtaxing of the load of public facilities such as schools and infrastructure. Whether the proposed change would adversely affect influence property values. Whether the proposed use will create or excessively increase traffic congestion. Will it create a drainage problem? Will it reduce light and air to adjacent areas? Whether the proposed use will be detrimental to the improvement of adjacent property. Whether there are substantial reasons why the property cannot be used in accordance with existing zoning without the CUP. Whether the proposed use is in harmony with the character of the neighborhood. Whether other adequate sites in the city exist for such use. I think in the court, one of the court hearings that says this is the only place it can be. Harm to any historic or structure, adequate parking, will create traffic congestion near the proposed site, adequate utilities on the site, adequate refuge and service areas, screening, buffering from adjacent properties, environmental impact, not limited to odors, noise, smoke, or signs, in the opinion of adjacent property owners. And it really doesn't go down to the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment. It really goes down to those items right there. And I don't think anything in there would prohibit us from approving the CUP. And
Yeah, and I agree with you, Tom. And the other thing is also in the city fee schedule, right in the fee schedule, it says gun sales, $45 fee. So the guns, basically the city's already endorsed this or they'd remove that fee schedule, and they haven't. So I think as commissioners, we've got to obey the ordinances of the city of Eureka Springs, and there's nothing within the current ordinance structure that would prohibit us from approving this. And so that's why I'm voting yes, because it meets all the criterias of this. And so just down the line, if somebody wanted to sell something that left-handed shovels, well, I don't think a lot of people would agree with left-handed shovels, but we're not in the business of approving left-handed shovels. We're in the business of approving businesses that meet the city ordinances, and this meets every criteria that are put before us to approve. So there's no reason not to approve this, and none of us can look into the future. We don't know what could or could not happen in the future. So I think that a well-regulated body, and this is a well-regulated business, it's oversaw, it's checked, it's balanced, and I see no problem with approving this today.
Does anybody have any questions? No. No. So we voted.
Yeah.
And it was 3-2. So it does not pass at this table. So we have 5 commissioners here and 1 staff member. Our vote was 3-2 at this particular table. So I'm sorry, but it doesn't pass. We would have needed 4 in order for it to pass with a yes vote, and we didn't get that tonight. So that's where we are on this particular application. Kyle, do they need to visit with you probably tomorrow for paperwork?
Yeah, we can talk tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. Am I missing it, Kyle?
The minutes.
Oh, it looks different. Sorry. It's okay. Okay. regular, 6.
Yeah.
Three, 2. All right, we're going to move into commission business. We've got approval of the minutes for April 2nd, which was a special meeting. Can I get a motion and a second to approve?
Motion to,
No, go ahead.
motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second?
All right, you've got a motion. Oh, sorry, Ann, did you
No,
second
you're
it? Okay, motion to approve and a second approval of the minutes on April 2nd. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, those are approved. Approval of minutes for May 14th, which was a regular meeting.
Motion to approve minutes of May the 14th.
Second.
All right, motion to approve the May 14th meeting minutes in a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we've X'd out several things. We've got discussion new ordinances, which is crypto mining and wind power ordinances.
Right.
Who is leading this?
me.
You're
Yeah.
doing that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had Kyle send you a copy of the current bill that is considered engrossed, which means it's at its final vote. So one of the things before we start working on a ordinance for this particular Bitcoin, I wanted to have you guys have a copy of this and look it over and see there's a lot of crossed out sections, but this should be the final version that should represent an act when the session reconsumes. Senator King has told me that he is for this bill in its current revised condition, and so is Harlan Bro. So our representatives said that they will be voting for this. So once it's approved, we could either recommend that the city do a resolution endorsing this, or we could write something up. But the easiest thing is that the city just endorses a current act if we agree with its makeup, and then we wouldn't have to write our own ordinance. It would just be a resolution to endorse.
I'm sorry, who's saying we should just endorse it?
Well, I think that's what I'm saying. We should just endorse. I've looked this over, but I want everybody to look it over. So at next meeting, if you agree that this covers all the things you're concerned about as far as Bitcoin, then I think that maybe we should just recommend the city endorse this bill.
For those of us that have not a clue what this is.
Okay. Well, yeah, I understand.
I mean, when we talked last meeting,
Yeah.
and I could be wrong, but I seem to remember you saying something about there would really be no place here for something like this.
Right. Effectively, really, there isn't. But it's kind of like I said, I can't predict the future. So maybe the city grows by 600 acres, and there is a location that would be, and things would happen. So in case we should do something just to cover our bases, so to speak, on the Bitcoin farm, because it is. From everything I've looked at and everything I've been looking at in different states, what's interesting, different states are approaching this differently, but they're all the people that are in those communities where those current Bitcoin mining operations are enacted are complaining of the noise. They're complaining about the amount of power they're taking. There's a lot of brownouts in those communities now where there didn't used to be. So those kind of things. So it is, it's a very unlikely possibility we would get one, but at the same time, I think we ought to cover our bases by at least recommending that the city, endorse this, and in that way, if something does happen, then we have something on the record.
So with your knowledge of this.
Right, I have.
You're comfortable with this
I'm very
language?
comfortable with this. Like I said, our two representatives have stated to me that they are endorsing this version, and that will be voted on and made into a law as an act. I'm not sure what number it'll be, but at the act, and it will then allow the state to control Bitcoin deployment, but at the same time, it's still a Class A city, still has its own kind of designation. And so it's possible that a Bitcoin operation can come in and we could then try to use this as a resolution.
So does the city accept, or does the city endorse it through a resolution? Or
Right,
does
a
this-
resolution. That's what
Okay, not
so
an
I went through
ordinance.
and
Okay.
I did a little research and I found multiple resolutions in our current code online that basically does that. They have certain laws that have been written that they're endorsing, and they do that through resolutions. So that would be something that.
And it would reference probably that.
Right,
if it were voted on.
they reference the state law, and they say that we're endorsing it, or they've also done the opposite. When the fluoride thing was put in the water, they literally did a resolution that they were not in compliance. They did not want to comply with that, but they had to because it was state law. So there's been opposite. It just depends. That's one thing the city can do. So I'd recommend that.
Does anybody have any questions about that? Mike, you look like you want to.
Yeah, just, are you asking for us to?
No, I just
make a
go
resolution?
back. I mean, next meeting, I think, after you look at this over, unless something jumps out at you, I think at the next meeting, maybe we ought to come together and submit the recommendation that they adopt this bill in a resolution.
So my question was that we're going to review it, and then once we can make a decision to adopt it, we're not necessarily making the resolution
No.
back. We send it
gonna-
to the city council.
Right, let the
That's
city
okay.
do the
Got it.
resolution, right.
That's one clarification. I want to make sure that, we're not doing the actual.
No, we wouldn't
We're just
be-
making the
no.
recommendation for them to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, other item on there was wind power.
Windmill.
Windmill,
So-
yeah, windmill.
So what's interesting, and I was telling Kyle about this, what's interesting is if you use the word windmill, you get a million plus hits. But if you use the word windmill turbine, you only get 50 or 60. So what's interesting is that word turbine indicates that it's producing something power. It's a current generating device. So one of the things that I went through, and I looked at a lot of restrictive things currently, and again, the state is still trying to wrangle this monster, but the word turbine, if we did enact something, it would have to include that verbiage, turbine. So once a windmill turbine, it all depends on the acreage and the height of the operation. And so that's where all the state agencies, if it's over 1 acre, then the AEQ comes in and has to get a permit from them for water control and flow engines. So there's a lot of things that occur. And so every state agency seems to have a part of this wind turbine thing. And until it's so new, I think Carroll County is wrestling with it right now. And I've talked to a couple of the justices of peace, and they are still wrestling with it. And they don't have an answer for me. I asked them, well, how would you wrangle this if you could? And they don't have an answer for me. So we're still working on developing something that would first define. One of the things that's interesting, and I was telling Kyle, is that if I put a home use windmill on my house, to capture the current and generate some to a house thing, do I want to ban that? Well, no, we don't want to ban that, but we want to ban the commercial version of that in the city. So that's where that word turbine comes into effect, and then we have to define what turbine is with definitions. So and I can see how they got through it because the bureaucracy let it through, and that's how they got to where they're at now in Green Forest because of that situation, is that it's so convoluted. There's so many ways you can talk about it, but when it starts talking about actually being built, that's when the state jumps in and has those regulations. So I'm still working on that, but I think it's closer. It's getting closer because it's either going to happen or it's not going to happen.
I do have a question, though.
Yeah.
So tonight we had an approval for a variance on a property that was wanting to build a structure that was higher than what's currently in code. Did the turbines, or will a windmill, since that would be new construction, it'd be constructing something,
Right.
does that fall into that ordinance?
Well, it could, it's a structure, and it would be definitely over.
I mean, it's a pretty large structure,
Oh, yeah,
so.
it is, oh gosh, I don't know, if you look at your typical cell phone tower.
Right.
That's the size, that's the height of one of those.
So that would be the question I would have to ask, is legally, would we be covered because our current ordinances or current ordinance says that when you're building a structure, it cannot exceed.
Right.
So does that take care of this?
It could very well. That's a very good point. It could very well, just structure, because we do have limitations on height of a structure, and that would be a structure.
It'd be a structure.
But is it a structure? I mean, that's in the
Well,
definition. Yeah.
that's what we'd have to do. We'd have to make sure that the definition of structure, we'd have to talk to the code and ask him, is this considered height structure? Would you, if you had to build this in Eureka, would you consider this a violation or not? We could pose that too.
I mean, because maybe the ordinance that's currently there could just be amended
That's very
to
true.
include a new definition.
Purpose, right.
Or
Yeah.
something like that. But
That's very true.
it seems to me that if we're going to build something, regardless of what it is, if we have a height restriction, then now maybe they would still be able to come for a variance, but
True.
does that,
Yeah.
would that qualify under that ordinance?
That'd be a good question.
Yeah,
So-
I can go to Forrest with that question.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because the same rules would apply for cell towers. They can't put a cell tower in the city limits without a height variance.
Right, that's right, and that's right, yeah, and that's exactly right. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to, if we can find out about
Yeah,
that.
we'll put it on the agenda again, we'll run
Okay.
through it again next month.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see. All right, so number 7, does anybody have any
Yeah.
other questions for Fergie on those 2 items?
No?
Good job.
Okay.
Annexation, that's also.
Annexation. So
So,
I know where this came from.
yes, it came from the mayor's office, yeah.
Okay, and so I'm just going to add my point of view on this. I would like more information. Like, I need to know where this is going. I mean, we could say, hey, we want to annex.
Yeah.
But what's the purpose
Exactly.
and what is the goal
Right.
on annexation?
I agree. I
So
agree.
if he wants to come and explain
Yeah,
that to
yeah,
us,
yeah.
or write something, or provide us with more information, that's great. But to just throw out annexation without a definition or without a purpose,
Right, right. And
is-
I think we ought to have a formal, if he wants to come, the mayor wants to come and tell us, here's why, here's what the criteria, is what I'm looking for.
I mean, there has to be an argument, right? For or against.
And I talked at length to one of our property owners, Passion Play, for instance, for an hour and a half. And they had all the negatives and I didn't have any positives. So one of the problems I have is, okay, what are the advantages to being inside the city limits? And I was struggling with some of them because I don't know what they all are. So I need to find out what is the, what.
I just think that if someone is going to ask you to
Yeah.
add something to the agenda, then they should give us a reason why it's necessary. And right now, we haven't been given a necessary,
No.
So-
But I do appreciate the
the information.
information on annexation so I can go home
Yeah,
and
Review it.
study it. Yeah,
Right.
because
Yeah.
yeah.
But I just think, I mean, it puts us in a, we're supposed to be operating separately from,
Right.
and so do we just have something brought to us and we just automatically approve it because so-and-so said, this is what I want to do? I mean, we have to do a little more homework than
no, I
that.
totally agree.
Yep.
So anyway, that's what
Okay,
I would
yeah.
like to see.
good. I
is-
agree. I
And I
agree.
don't care if it's a written something or it's a verbal,
Yeah.
just something, because we have nothing right now.
Well, I think a lot of people would like to have the city water, but don't really want to be in the city limits. Well, they can do what they want to outside the city limits.
Yeah,
They
yeah. And
still have
there's-
the benefit of having
yeah.
city water.
Yeah,
Right, and,
yeah.
and if we knew the reasons why, and we knew what areas were favored,
Right.
then at least we could look at it and we could look at the pros and cons and say, what are the rules to annexation? Because we'd all have to do homework on it.
Yeah,
Before we
I
vote.
thought it was cut and dry myself until I got into the minutia, and then I realized, oh my gosh, there's a lot of issues. And then, and it took me a while to calm down the owner at Passion Play, because, well, I'll fight this too. I said, no, I'm just asking, I'm just talking, we're having a conversation here, not, calm down.
And I also think it would warrant an opinion
Yeah,
requested from planning to municipal league.
right.
If we get into it deeper as
Absolutely.
to, what is allowed, what isn't allowed, what is expected, what isn't expected of a city if they decide to annex, and what are the laws?
That's
What's
right.
currently on the books? So
That's right. That's right. No,
anyway.
exactly. So,
does anybody have any other thoughts on annexation?
okay.
Okay. So if we could get some
Mayor's office?
some information.
Yeah, so I will ask for some more direction and also reach out to Municipal League.
Good.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful for us. All right, agenda setting. So we've got annexation.
Yeah.
We've got a review of the crypto mining information that Fergie gave us.
Yep.
And then we're going to get an opinion from the city's attorney as to whether or not a wind turbine or a windmill would fall under
Height. Yeah.
height limits
Right.
and be considered new construction,
Yeah.
or if it would comply.
Yep.
And I'd like to, once we get the ordinance written, I'd like to do maybe a special meeting.
Okay, can you give me just an update, because I'm not positive exactly what you've done so far. So, and I know it's off our agenda, but what I'm hearing you say is that you've requested an ordinance be written.
Yes, I met with Kyle and Ida. We went over what was discussed here in the meeting for the bed and breakfast. And that's the agenda, that's the ordinance that Forrest is writing.
Okay, so is there, I'm going to back up a little bit. I know that when Forrest does any work for the city, it costs money, right?
No,
Is he a
Forrest
salary?
salaried.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's not hourly anymore.
No.
Okay, I just want to clarify on that,
No,
because I was
he's
going to say,
salaried.
just to make sure that we all agree that what is on the list is actually he's writing, because I hate for him to write.
Ida's working with him on it.
Okay, I just hate, if he was hourly, I'd hate for him to write something and then it'd be totally different than what,
Once he gets it written, I'm sure Kyle will send it to me.
Okay.
And we'll look at it before we call the special
Okay.
meeting.
okay. All right, and then, all right, so that's what you want to bring to the next meeting is the ordinance?
If we get it, I don't know when it's going to be done, but if we get it before the next meeting, I'd like to do a special meeting and get this done to take it to city council.
Okay. And then perhaps during that discussion item, we're going to need to we need to discuss as a group what goes in that packet to city council. So we've had all those
Yes.
postcards and things like that. So let's kind of think about it over the next meeting and figure out what we want to present to them. My assumption is, Kyle, you'll probably do a report too. Do you want to include a report from you, or would you rather it just be items that we vote on to put in that packet for city council members?
If you want, I can put something together for you to consider and see if you want to make any changes or anything to that.
Would you rather him put something together that as a draft that we can review first, or would you rather come to the table and say these are the things that we would like to have in the packet that goes to city council? Because like I said, we've got postcards, we've got, and I was wondering whether or not, I know we had quite a few people that had public comments. Are those public comments submissible to city council in a packet? Like, when a meeting goes on, so with like our workshop, we had all those people that came up for public comment. We've had people that have submitted postcards. Is there a way to get their comments in, because they all stated their address and everything like that, is there a way to get that information in there too?
Yeah, I can put something together.
Probably got sign-up sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that we won't, be able to know what they said, so.
Well, I think realistically, we need to ask ourselves, are they going to look at it?
Well, that's true, but our job is to
I
provide them
know,
with.
it's a lot of work.
It is.
And I
yeah.
would prefer that when we have a special meeting or whatever, we all decide what we want to put in that packet to them.
And that's fine, but
Yeah.
I was just wondering if we could, translate any of those comments into, maybe it's as simple as approve or
Well, if
not.
it's written down, I think we can. I think we would have to be careful about something we heard and then trying to
That's why I
write
was-
it out. I think that could, we could put, there were 15 people that came and spoke in favor of what we're looking at doing, or 15 people that opposed it without stating what their comments were, and then those that actually put it in writing, we could put that in there.
I actually have a question, and it's maybe David, I have a question that maybe, and with everything out there with AI, I just wonder whether or not that transcript could be done from a meeting. So maybe it can. We'll find out.
I mean, you can talk to Ida about it. She's the one that would be reviewing it.
Okay, all right. So just some thoughts on that.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of AI, so.
I know. Sidewalks, I'm going to go ahead and put that back on for next meeting. And then tree cut ordinance. Did you need clarification on the tree cut ordinance, or are you just trying to provide us with more information?
Yeah, so last time that we met, we made some changes to the application process.
Okay.
I've processed a few of those and was just wanting to bring them to the table to show you
Okay.
how that's going.
So it's just going to be a draft that we'll review?
I'll bring some applications that we've done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else want to add anything else to the agenda for July? Okay. I will make a comment. As of right now, I will not be at what's our August meeting? What date is that? Is it the 13th of August?
August
Okay.
13th, yeah.
So I will not be here for the 13th, August 13th meeting. I just wanted to make that as a public,
Okay.
so in case there's anybody else that's not going to be there either.
There is a possibility I won't be here for the July meeting. I will know information in the next week or so. But I will get everybody set up with things before I go if that's the case.
Okay. Anybody else going to be out of town for a July or August meeting that you know of?
Sure, I'm good.
Okay. I mean, I would hate to find out after we've done the whole agenda and promised people if they have applications, so. Okay, all right, so that's it. Commissioner comments. Ann?
I don't have
Or,
anything.
sorry, did you want to say one thing?
One thing for clarification, this letter that was, email I got about the banning the support of the banning the bed and breakfast, there's just clarification. The author said that they're trying to appeal as overcoming local residents wanting a permanent ban on bed and breakfast homes. We're not considering killing all the ones that are there now, right? We're just
No.
moratorium on the ones that are
Right.
adding to it.
That's exactly
New-
right.
new application.
Yeah, the letter indicates that we're trying to ban all of them.
Yeah,
That's why we just need to be very clear
That's
on
what
what
we-
we're.
Right.
Because that's
Okay,
right.
and speaking of that, can we have that for our next meeting and we'll just,
Yeah, so
Read it into public comment?
it's a petition that's in progress. Those were just the signatures that we had
So
up to
far.
date submitted. And so, yeah, I can get an updated one for the next one,
Okay.
yeah.
okay,
Because they need to know, we're not planning on banning, shutting all the ones down that are here. We're just trying to control the ones that are being added to what we have. Okay.
yeah. I mean, that could all change at city council because we don't vote on
It could
that.
change it. We're not planning
But
on
as of right
kicking
now,
anybody out
We're
or,
not going to shut everybody down that's
No.
already here.
That is
That's not
never-
even part of the conversation. is
that
it?
was never part of the
Okay.
conversation.
Okay.
That's what this letter's saying that we're considering.
Commissioner comments. I'm going to actually start with Fergie, you first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I went, the Blues Festival was really nice. I walked through and saw a lot of people in town. We continue to see a decline, though, downtown as far as sales. So if you see a merchant, thank them for being open, thank them for sticking it out, and hopefully the economy will bounce back. That's all I got.
Tom?
No comment.
Mike?
Well, I've got grandkids in town, so I've been missing a lot, but I've heard that the Blues Festival and the Pride Festival and everything, other than the economic aspect, it was a very good turnout for both of them. It seemed to be a lot of people enjoyed it. They enjoyed the place where they can walk around and drink, what they call the entertainment zone.
Center,
So
yeah, on
it
Center
seems to
Street.
be everything overall was a success, so.
Ann?
Nope.
Okay. I don't have anything either, so
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.